right, so now we're gonna get to some theatrical releases. The first one being the Lego Movie 2, the second part. So the first one came out in 2014. I saw it. I just checked it out out of curiosity. I was like, okay, but this I never saw something like this before. An actual movie with Legos. Yes, we did. I believe we did. Yeah, and we were blown away by it. Especially with the how it just came together with the end, the conclusion.
Yes.
Yeah, the climax. That's when it brought it home. It made sense why a movie like this exists. It made sense why just the reason why this movie exists kind of came together with the end of that. And I thought it worked.
Yeah, the first one bought Lord and Miller to help with me, with them now. I was like, all right, I get why these guys is the real deal. They really understand how to make a working application of meta and very, very intelligently. And I totally understood why, because the whole thing when people was working, everybody was like really cynical about this going in, right? It's like it's a fucking like movie, so I mean it's gonna be some, lazy corporate shill movie bullshit though.
Exactly. No, emoji movie.
Right. But what they decided to do with it is do this like the cultural weight of Lego, why people love Lego the way it is, and then they get into the fundamental philosophical schism amongst Lego users, and that it totally works now in that context. Yeah, and I absolutely love the what they did with that.
Yeah, and also what I love too is just how they deconstruct not just pop culture, but blockbuster movies as well. So you have the naive hero, who has to step up to save the world from ex bad guy and all that kind of stuff. You have the badass gut chick who maybe this sort of feminist icon and all that kind of stuff. And just flip all these things now, and they just had this non-stop barrage of just humor and just pop culture and references and jokes that just had me in stitches. And I actually have this movie on in my Blu-ray collection. I don't regret it. I wanted to get the Lego Batman movie, which I enjoyed not as much as the Lego movie, although I find that it was just joke after joke after joke. But it's, I don't know, it's not that as far as going back to it, I haven't really gotten back into watching the Lego Batman movie. I really should. But it's just that I think that it just relied too much on meta humor than just actually having like a real solid message that have emotional weight like the last movie did. Lego Batman movie was just let's pay homage to Batman, but let's just have jokes and jokes and jokes and jokes and jokes, and that's it. It's a lot of jokes, but not really that much heart. But I still enjoy the movie.
Yeah, no, the Lego Batman movie attempted to do the kind of this foundational thing that we'll talk about it with this movie as well. One time, which is this aspect of why Batman is a problem and to subvert Batman in an interesting way.
But this last thing I want to say, there was also the Lego Ninjago movie, which came out the same year as Lego Batman, but I didn't check it out because I'm just not familiar with Ninjago. I know Jackie Chan did a voice for it, but I just didn't bother to see it. That's all. That's really it. Yeah. But now we have the Lego Movie 2, the second part. All right, so I'll just run through what it's about quickly, right? So so basically it happens literally like about a second after the end of the first movie, right? When as we learn, Finn, as the human kid, his younger sister Bianca start playing Lego with him now because the dad was all like, well, your sister's growing up, so she should be playing with you now, have that kind of sister brother bond now, you know what I mean? So as she comes in and has her own variations of Lego characters, they come off as aliens now in the town of Bricksburg, right? Yeah, in the town of Bricksburg. So this starts immediately from that point now. So it's like this alien attack, basically, right? And of course, our hero Emmett, played by Chris Pratt, Lucy, aka Wildstyle, shows up, and it's just like them trying to stop the aliens, but to no avail. And then Bricksburg basically become like a Lego version of Mad Max Fury Road, basically. So it becomes this dystopian wasteland, right? And everybody trying to get by. I like that Lucy real trying to be like stoic and badass and just thinking that, oh, well, the world's going to come to an end, you know, just be brooding. Right. While Emmett is just like, hey, everything is still awesome, even though everything changed, right? So one day they actually the leader of the army, General Sweet Mayhem, shows up, right? And basically says that this queen, I forget her name, I think it's whatever, because she could literally turn into whatever she wants to. She's voiced by McGill Tiffany Haddish. Is having this wedding basically, so she's looking for someone to marry her, and in this case, it turned to be wee boy Batman, right? Voiced by Will Arnett, right? So so Wild Style and a few other leaders of the the wasteland sent up to this planet, right? Of course, Emmett, trying to be all heroic, goes after them. He actually creates this spaceship out of his home, so it's like a house, but it's a spaceship, goes after them now. And then while he's trying to get into the far reaches of space, there's even this cool, although it kind of catch me off guard, 2001: A Space Odyssey reference, the Stargate scene. He runs into a more or less, what will you say? This Galaxy Defender, basically. His name is Rex Dean Javes, right? Who is also voiced by Chris Pratt, who is doing the best Kurt Russell impersonation he could do. And I thought that was pretty funny as well, because almost like, Chris Pratt, Kurt Russell worked together on Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It's like, okay. There was even a point where I was like, wait, is that Chris Pratt or is that Kurt Russell? Because they sound eerily similar. Yeah.
But the joke was it's a bunch of like all Chris Pratt old roles or popular roles stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a cowboy, he's an archaeologist, he's a raptor trader. So if you remember Jurassic World and the sequel, so it's just like that now. So both of them now banding together to go and save Wild Style and the other, the other heroes, if you will, from a certain impending doom. I don't want to spoil what it is, but when you see it happen, you'll be like, oh, okay, that was actually clever. That actually caught me by surprise.
Right. I thought it was going. I thought it was going somewhere else with that, but yeah, it's like all right, or whatever.
Yeah. But I want to hear your thoughts on the movie. Honest thoughts on Lego Movie 2.
I would argue is a slightly adapted version of basically the Lego Batman movie. A little same thing, very similar. At least the central theme of what it's going for. Thematically, it's roughly the same thing in my opinion.
Which is.
Well, it's a kind of loaded term and not a particularly useful term, but yeah, it's a kind of popular concept known as toxic masculinity.
I know the term. Yeah.
Right, and that's what this one was about, and I get what it was going for. The problem is that we kind of saw it already with the Lego Batman movie, in my opinion. Like, that was kind of the same thing.
Right.
And then, a lot of the jokes don't land, like, for me. Like, I get what it was going for. It have a couple, but just, I don't know, it just didn't feel anywhere near as clever as the first film. And yeah, that's about it. I didn't really have that much else to say about it. This kind of came and went for me. It's good. I liked it, but I really thought they were going somewhere else with the central idea. Because I didn't think they would have done that. To me, it felt thematically so similar to Lego Batman. Okay. So that's about that. Yeah. So I didn't hate this. It was fine. It have a couple of jokes that do land and is actually genuinely funny. But that's about it. I didn't feel this one all that much.
All right. Well, I agree. Unfortunately, I agree with you for the most part. For me, I just counting gripes for now, right? And then I'll jump into the positives. Because they ask the positives with this, right? Gripes, though, I felt that the story just had this sort of scattershot aspect about it. Like, I'm not seeing that it has to be the street narrative. I mean, it's meta humor, right? But, when you come in with this alien thing and then you bring in Mad Max Fury Road and you're bringing, we're going to go to this alien planet. It could just feel like you're just jumping from point to point, from joke to joke, from setup to setup, from setup. And it just kind of feels like it's just all over the place. Like it just can't settle down. You know what I mean? So it's almost like this kid's imagination is literally running wild. I maybe that's the intention, but in a way, I don't really think it is as well.
It's an example of where you have workable intention, but it still don't land particularly well, even though you get what it was going for. So I'll say the two reasons why the movie really fall apart for me. The first mistake, I think, is Batman. They had too much Batman in this.
And then especially how they bring him into the story as this central figure is like, well, why really? Could have been anybody else though, but everybody loves Batman. I mean, I do, but still.
No, but why it doesn't? Here's why. Okay, if Lego Batman didn't exist, this would have been stronger, right? Because again, you get why it is because of the Batman, or at least a certain section of Batman fandom, and because of the nature of the story, and what was going on in terms of the quote unquote meta aspect of it, Batman is the perfect candidate for that thing that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right? The quote unquote toxic masculinity thing, right? That's at least what again.
Which the movie really addressed, the Lego Batman movie perfectly addressed that.
Right. So that's why on one end, the Batman thing made sense of them, that's a concept, but the problem is that Lego Batman exists and they already addressed the Lego Batman. So I don't know. It is no land to me. Second thing, the big meta conceit that really put the first film over the top and that was absolutely brilliant, was addressed too directly and used too much in this one. So something that was like a big surprise and a big shock and like, oh shit, this is what they're doing with it. That because we already know what it is like from the start, it's like nothing was that interesting in terms of what it was deciding to do. And now here's the thing. I expected that because I know you couldn't really, rewind that, right? That's something I want you to do it once. That's it. You can't go back, right? Doing the whole meta premise, right?
Yeah.
However, what I thought they were doing something more interesting with what the subtext of all of that was. Like, I don't know what to call it. Let's call it meta text / subtext. I thought that was going in a much more interesting direction, other than what the first movie told us where it was going, right? Because the first movie already sold out what that was about. When they introduced that, and you hear the girl and the baby voice, like, all right, well, we know if the second film is about that, then I know what the second film is going to be about. And that's exactly what it was about. And so it wasn't surprising at all. And it's not to say that this was a bad idea, however, is that I thought they would have sat down and tried to update that premise a little better. And they could have made it work, but it just didn't land for me as it was.
Right.
But it wasn't bad, still fine. And I would have forgiven it a little more if the jokes were better. Like if a lot of those jokes were really, really good and funny. But too many jokes was just kind of come and gone for me. It had one joke. There's one joke in this. Well, I should say two jokes, but there's one joke in this in particular that had me really, really cracking up. Involving the ice cream cone interrupting. That is hilarious.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Hilarious. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And then, it had a famous pop song in it. I thought that was kind of clever. This was like the second Lonely Island album. The first Lonely album, we're making fun of pop and rap music. And then a second one is like, we're still making fun of pop and rap music, but in a slightly different way and not that more interesting. And we kind of already know the joke. So you're not really adding anything to the table.
All right, but you are right though. As far as the jokes go, they were funny though, but I don't know. I just think for me right now, because you kind of know what to expect with this series anyway, because we had I didn't see Ninjago, so can't say if that same sort of meta humor was there. But if you've seen Lego movie, if you see Lego Batman movie, you kind of know what to expect, right? So when the jokes come, it's just like, yeah, that was funny. I know it's funny, but it's just not fresh funny. You know what I mean? Right. It doesn't come like, oh my God, I didn't expect this. Just like, all right, I come into this movie, I know the kind of humor that we're going to get. Right. But I just felt they could have kind of amped the humor just a little bit more, been a little bit more clever,
Big part of humor is the novelty. And once your brain systematize that, it's not going to land fair. Again,
exactly.
There are a couple jokes in this that is very, very funny. Again, for me, that ice cream joke is very funny for me. I thought that was just it just catch me off guard every time they did it, and they did it like 3 or 4 times, and every time it was funny to me. But that's about it. And I get
there's a couple other things I just want to say quick, right? But the animation still solid, still bright and colorful. I mean, this is something that kids will just be in awe of. I mean, it's just such a great looking animated film, right? The characters are still larger than life, still over the top and all that. I mean, and you know, I love the pace of it as well. Even though I did find the second act was a little bumpy, mainly because I wasn't sure where it was going. That thing that's the I think overall that was like the biggest flaw for me. Is just all right, things are happening. Okay, it's not sequel like this as such, but all right, where are they going with this? And then all of a sudden it's like, well, it's about Batman. Like, all right, what? Why? You know what I mean? Because we know Batman to be this certain type of character, and then something happens with him. Not gonna say what, and then it's just like, all right, so this is where you're gonna play with it, okay?
Right.
But still, where is it going? And then is when the big twist happened, which admittedly caught me by surprise. Well, actually, no. Actually, I would say
not really.
I was thinking about it, but I was like, nah. Oh, but then then it happens, and then how they explain it is like, well, you know what? It kind of don't really matter anyway because of this certain type of this narrative framing device, basically, because it don't really make any sense. That's why this thing could happen. But for me, it kind of took me out of the film a little bit because you know you still had to put a little logic into the film. Like, okay, but how this could happen when we know from the first movie this happens? You know what I mean? This thing just come completely out of surprise, out of nowhere. You know, and then it's just like, well, you know, you're not really supposed to question it because when you try to delve into it, you realize it don't really make any sense. It's bullshit. So it's like, okay, but still, it cannot make any sense though.
Yeah, no. In the context of the film, it's clever in its own way. Like I get what you're doing.
Thematically, I get it makes sense, but logically, though, like logically in the logic of the film, it still kind of don't work though.
No. Like, okay, in the once you understand the workable framing of it, it's already admittedly going like, okay, I don't want to spoil anything at all, but well, it's kind of a spoiler in the first film is that this is in the mind of one boy. That's what it is, right? And in the context of the film, it's a proxy for his, you know, internal imagination. That's what it is. It's the devil and the angel on the shoulder stuff, right? It's the homunculus of the mind. So none of it is this can't happen and that's impossible, because all of it makes perfect sense with the fantasy that the boy coming up with in the world. So that's why this works in that sense. To me, it's perfectly logical. I don't really have any issues with it in that sense. Oh, this don't make sense and that's bullshit. Yeah. No,
but it's just the thing though, is just that there's a moment where it almost feels like the dream is done. Like he's, you know, everything, he kind of pack up everything. Slight spoiler, pack up everything. But still, these things are still happening. So like, how though? You know,
no.
Is it because of the movie, the story? Yeah, it had to happen in the story, or because his brain just still working because even though he passed away, is like.
It's the brain working, and of course the sister is that going on too at the same time. Another bad thing. Okay, I like Maya Rudolph, but she was terrible in this.
Yeah, boy. Like I was like, the stuff that they give you to do, like the little side joke. I was like, no, she deserved better than this shit. And where was Will Ferrell in all of this? Like you hear this voice, but it's like, oh, yeah, kids, listen to what your mom is saying. You know what I mean? Like, what? He could not come in front of the camera for a minute, for a few seconds. Bro, come on. His character in the world of in Bricksburg, whatever it is, was barely in the movie as well. Well. So like, wait, so why are you with this? Why we hearing your voice? Why are you here if you want to show your face? You know what I mean? Yeah.
But, they do one joke with her, which is a working joke with parents and Lego, which is the whole, you know, stepping on Lego stuff. That's a joke.
Yeah, because it's like, and then they did it again. I was like,
right.
That was bad. Complain about, you know, she was pregnant actually in the film. It's like, oh, you know, all this stress and the baby and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, all right, just stop it. Just stop. And then Will Ferrell he's like, kids, listen to your mother. I'm like, where's Will Ferrell and all of this? You know, because I'm like, he didn't care to be in the movie either. He just contribute a few lines and just move on, you know?
What I thought it was gonna be like, because again, when they introduced the ending from the ending of the first film, it's exactly what I thought it was gonna be going forward, right? Because that's what I thought it was. It's like, so when they did the second film, it's like, oh well, this is exactly what all you guys set up in the first film. It's the same. Oh, I don't want to work, you know, I don't want to do this. I don't want to play with my sister, right?
Right.
And that's exactly what they did, right? And so you have to come around on that. I thought when they did the wedding cake thing, so this is not a spoiler at all. I thought it was that Will Ferrell's character was a single dad and he was remarrying. That's what I thought it was. That was
and it's just how the kids kind of reflecting that in the game. Right.
And since he has another big problem too, is because the little boy grew up to now. So he's like a big damn man now.
Yeah.
So guys,
no.
Not what I mean. So I thought they would have still tried to get a young person and just have it be, they could have shoot around that in some way. So you think the boy, remember, it's supposed to be literally a few seconds after. So it's just a couple months past maybe, or like a year at most.
Yeah, but remember when Bricksburg turns into the wasteland, that's 5 years later.
Right. So that is why time passed. Yeah, I get that. But still,
it is a grown ass boy playing with Legos though. But I understand that he's playing with the child now. But they could have developed the whole, stop taking this stuff, stop playing with my Legos, you know what I mean? And then it kind of affects the world, the animated world that we see here. It could have just been, they were quarreling about something and that affect the world, so they had to kind of make back up. Well, not in a simplistic way like how I described it, but similar to that now, Yeah. Really have to be about the brother and sister, not so much about, whatever he was trying to see with this movie.
Right. Yeah, I can't really say I love this one. Mostly because I'll say it does the joke. The thing is, like, Batman kind of did this already. I had to say that. It kind of did the same thing. It had the same-ish message, in my opinion. So even though Batman is used a lot in this as a framing device for the central conceit, which makes sense because of Batman, and let's admit it, Batman fans are ridiculous. So it makes sense to use Batman as the surrogate for that message now. Because let's admit it, Batman fans are absurd, and they constantly just take Batman way too fucking seriously, and had to blame Nolan for that, but whatever. And it works in that sense. And it works kind of, but I underwhelmed by it.
And last thing I just want to say before we get to rated, sorry to cut you there. The music. I get what it's coming from in music. There's one song called Catchy Song that I actually like that's the song that and the song that they use for the end credits. That is what those are the two songs I take all from the movie, because they write the funny, the witty, but what, of course I knew they was gonna do the everything is awesome again, and they flip it in a creative way. I would say near the end of the second act.
That last joke involving everything is awesome is very funny. I thought that was a great joke.
Yeah. But I felt though like there's a couple of songs that Tiffany Haddish performed, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Tiffany Haddish could do no wrong in my eyes, and I get lyrically where she's coming from. Like lyrically, if this is what she's saying, it makes sense and it's kind of funny, but it just did not really. I don't want to say hit me, but this didn't really grab me as much as the songs that I mentioned before, and from the Lego movie from before now. It just didn't hit me as much as all that, right? Like they're lyrically they're funny, but it's just like, okay, right. You kind of stop the film to tell this joke. Okay, cool. Exactly. Moving on,
Yeah, it undermined the pacing in my opinion.
Yeah,
as I said, the thing is, it have a Lonely Island song that exactly is just that same catchy song bit, which is just getting people to do stuff because it sound catchy. Like that's the joke. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's that they're just making a joke about catchy things is a catchy song, and you're not gonna stop thinking about it and blah 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 blah. Because it's designed to do this, the whole corporate stuff, right? And that's part of the whole joke.
Yeah,
that's about it. Rating. I'm gonna give this a high CC. I didn't hate this.
Well, that's why I went to see it, but I mean, okay.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's not really worth too much time per se or anything like that. But I didn't. This was a kind of a letdown. It just they could have sit down with this. I thought the central conceit could have been different and more smarter. I find the central message not that interesting. And it felt frankly a little bit dated, but whatever. That's typical Hollywood stuff. Whatever.
Yeah. As I say, dated. I find that the Mad Max stuff was kind of dated though, because goddamn, the movie come out like when 2015 or whatever it is. I know it's a Warner property. I get the joke is the dystopian wasteland or whatnot. But it's like, dog, we done praise the hell out of Fury Road. Why we recreated this in 2019 though?
But that's the joke. The joke is, we making fun of thing and the boy going through that phase in his life, blah 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 blah. Because you notice another thing they did, which I liked, they did the whole name dropping of a movie or something like that.
Yes. With a certain framing device, which you would spoil, but yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically it.
But rating wise for me, I'll give this a strong 3.5 out of 5, man. It's worth checking out. Kids will love this. This is a family friendly movie, so take the kids, with the family, go see it. You all have fun and laugh and stuff. I was laughing, but I was more laughing at just it being a Lego movie, so you kind of go into laugh. But admittedly, I did not laugh as much or as hard as I expected to. But then again, I kind of went in with expectations low because I heard through the grapevine that it's a solid film, but it just could not live up to the original one. And I totally agree. It's not as great as the first one, but it's serviceable. To me, this kind of reminds me of a Deadpool 2, and just like the rating I gave that, well, my thoughts on it. If there was like a double pack for this, like a combo pack with the first Lego movie, which I already have on Blu-ray, with the second one, I'd easily buy this, right? Or just the collection with this and the Lego Batman movie and the Ninjago. But I wouldn't see myself buying Lego Movie 2 separately. I'd buy it as part of some kind of combo pack. That's the way how I see it. So it complements the first movie, but I wouldn't say it stands out from the first movie. So still, if you're a fan of the first movie, if you're a fan of the whole Lego Movie franchise, give it a look. But go in with expectations low, and you'll appreciate it. If you're going high, you're like, but whatever. Kind of forget about it.
That comparison to Deadpool 2 is that's pretty much what is happening with this one.
Exactly. I know people kind of came back. Like I remember I had a couple of people that were saying Deadpool 2 was such a great movie, it's one of the best for the year last year. Like, really? Really?
Okay,
because it did the same thing that the first movie do, but not as clever as the first movie. And the double D way out, okay, but all right, whatever.